Hi everyone, this is part 2 of a tutorial about ASCII art, techniques, and animation. In the last part, we went over the basics of ASCII art, concepts, did some sketches, looked at the different techniques. In this part, we're going to focus on the animation itself. Following these steps, finding references, drawing concept, finding your primary keyframe, testing size and composition, planning for the animations, keyframe drawing, then we're going to do the in-betweens, we're going to test, and we're going to polish. And the character I'm drawing is this character called Augie. And here's some work I've already done on him. So this is a skeleton, and going to our find references and concept steps, I looked at what we have in the game already. So we have, this is Scotty the Skull from the Haunted Gate entrance. And this is a Skeletoni. It's one of the enemies in the Haunted Halls. So I took those two and I brought them here into a Notepad++. And then I went and did some sketching, and here's some variations. And I'll drill down into that in a second. But first, let's look at Notepad++, and what I've done this time is I've changed the settings so that it's dark mode. And I wanted to show how that's done. Here in Style Configurator, I'm using this deep black mode here. The default one is the white one. I'm using deep black, and there's a bunch of different ones that could fit your style. Lots of really good ones. Just careful with your eyes if you press on this Hello Kitty one. But anyway, so in this concepting phase for Augie, let me write some stuff down here. This is Scotty the Skull. This was the Skeletoni. And we are here drawing Augie. He's an NPC that's going to be part of a quest. Now, the step about testing the size and composition is something that I kind of combined a bunch of these together, right? I did the concept, trying to find the primary keyframes, and testing the size all at the same time. Something I do to be more productive. In this case, I put the main character here next to Augie. So when I'm drawing him, I can get a feel for how big he is. I use the proportions from the Skeletoni as a base. And he's sort of a skeleton, but I wanted him to feel different, to look different from the other ones. And he has sort of this bent back, and he's gonna, I'm imagining his animation where he rocks back and forth as he's talking. We're gonna get into the planning part. We're gonna plan the animations. But I felt like these were pretty good, and I asked some of the players and some of the other people on the team, and I got some feedback on which approach they liked. I did this smaller version of Augie as well, right here. And I thought this was okay, but people preferred this one. The ribs are an interesting feature. And so we're going to go with this one. But I wanted to show some of the other stuff that came out of this. So here's a bone, here's a Skeletoni driving a forklift, and a couple of Skeletonis fighting over a skull. So we could say that this one is our primary keyframe. It's the one where we're going to base all our other animations on, but this one as well, because this one looks like it's a bit aggressive. It could be, coming towards you. It could be viewed as an enemy, whereas this one is more comical, and which is really the role of this character, is to have this funny personality and be quirky. So maybe this one is the primary keyframe. We're going to explore and see how the animations turn out based on that idea. Now let's go to our plan. So if we stick to this idea that he's going to rock back and forth as he's talking to you, we're going to need a tilt forward, tilt backward, and then a talking, tilt forward, tilt backward, and then a talking, tilt backward, and then a talking, tilt forward, 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 tilt backward, and then a forward and a talking backward. And I'm going to abbreviate these and just say forward and back. As I create my files and stuff later, I'm going to get a shorthand for those so the file names aren't so big. We could also, if we have time, do a walking cycle. Now the next step is keyframes. Now we want to do one animation at a time. So let's think about these tilt forward and tilt back. And we already have our keyframes here. If we're satisfied with these, we can always polish them a little bit later, but we're pretty much done with this one. If we get to the walking, we're going to have to come up with some new keyframes. We might need some other keyframes. So if he's going to be talking, what is that going to look like? Is he going to move his mouth? Is he going to move his arms? Or his, maybe we just have some basic animation here. Maybe his eyes blink. So let's explore that first before we get into the actual animation itself. What I want to do is take this stuff that was exploratory and put it to the top. This will be part of the research phase. And if you're wondering what this stuff is right here, we'll get to that in a second. This is essentially some stone script that you can put into your Mindstone, and it allows you to use the Stone Story Engine as an animation tool. So it has some boilerplate. It does the rendering. Here are the frames of the animation. Continuing on with our process, let's come up with some more keyframes here. So is he going to move his mouth or something like that? Maybe we just do it like this. We kind of go back and forth between those two. That might be enough. And we could blink his eyes like that. So this might be enough for the facial expression already. We could also try a few more tricks like that. And we'll animate this and see how it looks. Actually kind of like these two, just looking at it, but let's keep this idea. Eyes closed, pretty simple. Now let's play with the arms. That's where it starts to get interesting. Maybe he's a little bit too close to the character, to the player at this point. We need a little bit more room here for the arm. So let's draw the arm. That's kind of like the elbow. That's the thumb. It's nice to have a space there perhaps between the, use a comma, might be enough. Like that. That's pretty good actually. Oh, I want to see if we get the length correct. So the length of his arms is about 2 spaces, 2 vertical, like maybe 2.5 even. So we want to aim for that. So we have 1 here and 2 here. So this is why this one feels a little bit better. This one's too long. That's the problem. I think we have a winner here. So this is a keyframe now. Well, let's see if we can do something with the other hand. His left arm. This might be a little challenging as it comes in the foreground like this. Use some of that negative space that I talked about last video. There we go. So now his left arm is forward. He can be very expressive. Why don't we try with both arms up? And there we go, we have both of his arms up. So now he's very talkative, and then he'll move his face, he'll move his arms, and we'll have an NPC encounter. Now let's take a look at this other starting point. Applying the same space we had before. There. We'll do the same thing. I mean, we don't need to do the face, but we can do the arms. Now we can start animating. Let's do the tilt forward and the tilt backward. And we can copy these two keyframes as our starting points. And then what I do is I'm trying to find the intermediary frame. So if this is the starting point and that's the ending point, then what's in between? What's the middle one? So we can kind of look at this pattern right here and ask ourselves, where would that be placed in this middle frame right here? And one of the tricks you can do is to just copy this over. Kind of create a merge of the two frames. You don't have to do the whole merge, just situate yourself like that. Now there's going to have to be some arc, so there would be an additional like that. How's that spacing then? 3 on the left, 3 on the right. Perfect. I want to make sure that we have the right spacing. 2, 3. So there's 3 here. Is it the same here? Yeah. Just making sure. So that's our middle frame. And we put it one row up. Kind of give it an arc, but I guess it could have gone 2 up. We can try it. Try both ways. Pretty easy. So which is it going to be? That or like that? See, it is worth doing it because it's starting to look like that is the best one. So we'll delete this one. That one lost. This is our intermediary. Give it a bit more space. Now, what is the body going to look like? Start by just erasing stuff. So we have the information up here and down here, so we don't necessarily need it. Which parts don't move? Even the legs move a little bit. This will curve. It's probably in the frame after that if we do this with 5 frames. So on frame number 4 is when we already have the turned leg. We'll get to that. Maybe something like this. Leave this alone. And we need to draw the rib cage. Maybe something like that. It's not perfect. We could actually look at a skeleton. You know, reference art. It's always a good idea. Even something cartoon like that can help. Yeah, weird that it's more horizontal. Oh, it's because he's laying down. That's why it feels natural in these. They're vertical here because it's on the side, right? So in this case, it would have to be like this. So yeah, that's not going to work. It's about experimentation. You need to try all the different possible symbol combinations and find something that works. Or just get it good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, that's probably good enough. It's going to animate very quickly. It's okay. Just needs to be approximate. His arms are going to be something like this. It's good to preserve the pattern. It helps in the animation if you preserve the pattern. Here's the negative space. If we do that instead of the line, we can establish that this is the background element. Like that. Feels like they've grown a bit. So we went too far. Yeah, maybe it needs to be up here after all. Kind of see where they start as well. So this one starts on the bottom row like this. And so in the in-between, in the one here, the second frame, it's going to be up on the thigh. And then in this middle one, it'll be up here on the hip. That's fine. You do something like this. Try to bring it a little closer. It just looks weird. Okay, it's probably good enough for the middle frame. So let me duplicate that. Do frame 2. And then frame 4, right here. And in terms of curvature, this will probably be to the front a bit more. And then this one might be a bit to the back. Or is this correct? No. Yeah, this is correct. So you have the eye from frame 1 touching the eye from frame 2, and then on frame 4 and 5 they're also touching here, so now that's correct. Let's get this part in, and then we'll clean up the mess. Now there's a strange bit here because there's a lot of information in this particular space, and then what happens here is it becomes empty. So that's a bit weird. So either we animate it going in that direction or we fill it in here as well. So I think we want to keep this, so we got to take this part and move it in. So this is what I'm doing here, and maybe a little bit more aggressive on the anti-aliasing like that might be better. So what I'm doing here is that we don't want the arms to be in the same tempo as the body swinging forward, and maybe even the head has a little bob at the end as well. So when we get to, while this is still the last frame, we want to create a prior to last frame, kind of the head is maybe forward by 1 like that. Add some comedy to the movement, some elasticity. And the same for the arms. So the arms don't necessarily arrive at the same time. So we'll have a frame here where the neck is arriving, and then it has this elasticity forward, and maybe that actually doubles, so it'll stick to this position for a couple of frames here and here, and then it'll go to its final resting spot. And then we'll put a frame here where the head is already back to its correct place. And the arms will still be moving here. So the arms will be the last thing to arrive. Well, that gives us all these frames to put arm movement in. So let's see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is our final pose. We want the arms to swing forward a bit before they come fully to their resting position. So maybe something like this can be pretty easy to pull off. Like that. So they have some momentum forward, and then they come back to their resting spot. And these right here then be there. Put a comma here to break it up. There we go. Maybe the parentheses is the way to go. I don't know. Could be like that. When we animate it, when we render it out, we'll see what works best. Might need an extra frame here. 3 in-betweenies might not be enough. But maybe it's the right amount. I don't know. Let's try it. So the body's still moving forward here, so the body is pulling the arms, so it makes the arms feel like they're limpy. They don't have a lot of strength if they're flying behind the body like this, and then the arms just swing forward at the end. Is the idea I'm having for this. Like that. This actually puts it a couple of cells forward. Yeah, I think that's good. And then this back one can be maybe even hidden. Could be here. Doesn't have to appear at all. Do it like this, then we have the room for the extra one. Like that. And they're actually forward by one, so they keep moving, they don't stop moving. So this gives us two in-betweens. This is where I felt like we needed an extra one. So I'm going to duplicate that and just make the neck normal here. So the neck's going to have these two frames where it's forward. And we get 3 in-betweens for the arms. Yeah, that's pretty good. So we'll do the middle one first. This is a technique where you don't do you don't do them in order. As you can see, I kind of jumped to the end and I do this one frame. I did the neck, bouncing back for the arms. I'm going to do this one first and then I'll do the one before and the one after. And I'm going to do something similar that I did to the head. So I'll put the where the symbol is, like that, in the before, and then where the symbols are in the after. The height of the E, right there. And the other one is right here. So that's the after, and this is the before, and we just do the in-betweens. So this arm is the foreground arm. So is that one. So we animate that one first. This one. So in the in-between of that will be somewhere like here. Right there. That takes care of that one. We can kind of erase the stuff that's behind it, you know, to preserve the... There we go. Preserve the movement. Preserve the depth. Now this guy, where is the in-between of that? I think it would be somewhere around here. It's supposed to have... an overscore here that is problematic to not have. Maybe we keep it. Like this. So that's our in between. And now the middle one. The one before. So we have a hand right there. And it's right there. So what's the in-between? The in-between is going to be here. That position. Something like that. Again, it's going to be moving pretty quickly, so it's not that important that it's perfect. Now the hand in the back starts there and ends here, in front of the knee, right here. So the in-between for that is going to be somewhere like around there. So it's going to be obscured by the body, so we don't need to draw it at all. Save us some time. Now that's our last frame. And we can start with the background one this time, why not? And the frame before is here, and the frame after is there. So the in-between is right there. Pretty easy. We can see we used the left slash here and the right slash here, so we use the vertical one as an in-between. There we go. That was easy. Now the foreground one has this detail as well, so we'll see that can be incorporated. Now the hand is here in the before and here in the after. So in between that is kind of weird because it would be half a cell. We don't want to break the symbology. So could do it here perhaps. Like that. You can kind of see the movement already. If we scroll really quickly. And what will probably happen is this frame gets repeated, so we get the little bounce on the arms for one extra frame. So we're at that point right there where we've done the in-betweens. Now when we do, so this is the, let's go back to our plan. What animations do we have planned? We had the tilt forward, so that's what we drew. And if we get to the tilt backwards, then we'll just kind of reverse it, but we don't want to reverse the arms. We'll kind of erase the arms. We'll start from that one, and then we'll take advantage of the body angles. So this one, that one, that one. And then we'll kind of do the opposite where we'll bounce the head to the right a little bit, and then we need to redraw the arms. But next, I want to take these frames and render them out, render the animation out. So what I'm doing here is I'm counting the height of the frames, and this one's the tallest one. It has 10. So we need to make sure that we pad the top of the other ones with enough cells, with enough rows that they all have the same height. And there we have it. There's our tilt forward animation. That's a bit slow, perhaps. And try different speeds. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Let's repeat that final frame just to see how it looks. And I think we're going to repeat this frame as well. Now the last thing I want to show you guys is how I actually use this in my engine. So we demonstrated how to do it with Stone Story. But different people are going to have different tool chains. So I'm going to launch Unity. Now here in Unity, we're going to create the new animation. The key right here, we'll duplicate it. And I'll call this one Algae Tilt 4. We'll open that up. And what I'm going to do is move the information from this file to the other one. And in Unity, I have a special scene for previewing animations. Animation tests. I'll duplicate an existing animation, call it Algae Tilt Forward. Assign the source file to the sprite. We'll add a repeat up here too. Let's preview it. And that's going to be it for this video. I hope that was instructive, and the rest of the process is just the remaining animation. So it's the same process for all of them, the tilt, backwards, the walk cycle, but this video is getting pretty long already, so I'm going to cut it here. If people want to see the other ones, I can record those as well, and let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll upload those as well. See you guys next time.